What up, Jake?
Here we are.
We're back. We're back, baby.
It's awesome. We're talking about taxes and tax loopholes and how to work around down payments on apartment buildings. That's our life now.
I know it. I know it. You're investing in the digital world, and I'm investing in the real estate world, and our lives are very big now. You come from the
You had
street.
to go to court to evict somebody when you used to be worried about getting evicted.
I got evicted a couple.
That's what I'm saying. Think about it.
Yeah, it's full circle. Come full circle. You were living behind in your car, eating out of dumpsters.
Yeah. A broken down car that didn't run. I just was living in it because it was crazy, bro. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, and then here I am looking at like what investments I can make based off of the new administration, whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. Let's just make money off these fuckers, you know? All of them.
Well, and that's just full circle. Like our lives are so big today.
Yeah.
And that's what's possible for every listener out there right now. You guys can have the
100%.
transformation to rebuild your life from the ground up and enjoy being on planet Earth. Enjoy this human manifestation. It's available for you. That's what we're here to talk to you about.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into today with our topic. And you're an expert and I'm an expert in this. And I want to talk about relapse and what you do after a relapse. And I think this is going to help a lot of people because there's a lot of questions on Reddit and stuff where the shame and guilt hits, and then shame and guilt, people freeze. They're like a deer in the headlights, and then they don't know what the fuck to do. All nonsense comes out. Well, then you're more open to the devil, you know. The devil's going to get, he loves that when it's all foggy and unclear and crazy and you're feeling, the devil really loves when you're feeling guilt and shame. He can play on that like a motherfucker.
Absolutely. It's just such a low vibration as well. Guilt and shame, and I'm existing at such a low level. It's easy to beat up on myself. It's easy to be embarrassed. It's easy to feel that shame of, I know a better way, but I'm not doing it. I'm guilty because I'm not taking that appropriate action. And then it's also easy to turn a blind eye. I just turn back to the bottle. I turn back to the drugs. I relapse, and now I don't have to look at it for a very brief moment. But then there it is all over again the next morning. The guilt and shame comes back.
Yeah, and I want people to understand relapse isn't the end. You may feel emotionally because you're not in control of your emotions in that moment because you just chemically altered your brain with substance again. But relapse isn't the end. It is a wake-up call. That's all the fuck it is a wake-up call.
It's exactly
There's no
right.
emotion to it.
Yeah, very, very well said, Jake. It's also very common. Like, it's super fucking common. Stop giving yourself such a hard time about slipping. I slipped multiple times. The first time I tried to get sober, I was 18 years old. I didn't get sober till I was 21. So it took me 3 years of in and out, trying and failing. And I had a serious relapse the time before, God willing, my last sobriety, my recent sobriety. And it's just a very common part of being a drug addict, of being an addict, of being an alcoholic. Do you know what alcoholics do? Alcoholics drink. You know what drug addicts do? Drug addicts use drugs. Like, that's what we do. So when it comes to hardwiring that old neurological behavior that's just hardwired in us, that doesn't change overnight, you know? So if you have relapsed, first and foremost is don't be so cruel to yourself that you deprive yourself another opportunity of healing.
Because that's all it is. It's an opportunity. You're so good.
Yes. It's just another learning lesson for us. And I had to go through that relapse. I had to get my ass kicked enough to become willing to start to change my behavior. Because I knew that I had an issue. I knew that I couldn't stop drinking, but I wasn't really willing to do the necessary work to change. I wasn't willing to create a relationship with a higher power, with God of my understanding that was going to solve my problem. I just, wanted the cops to leave me alone. I wanted my girlfriend to stay. I didn't want to lose a job. So I had these surface motives that were insufficient when it came time to change my behavior. And it wasn't until that very last relapse where I was broken down enough. And, we talk about all the time, Jay, this little window of grace opened up in the heart where I could start taking different action. I start willing to behave differently.
Yes. That's so good. I'm always reminded of you cannot have the resurrection without the crucifixion.
So powerful.
And you got to be in that garden with the blood pouring, and then asking the Father to relieve this from me. I don't want to do this anymore. That's the addict's prayer. And it's so in relation to how Jesus lived, in that moment and what happened in the resurrection, a new beginning, a new life. It allowed grace to happen because of that suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. The correlation to the acceptance on the cross. Everybody focuses on the suffering on the cross, suffering on the cross. You can't have the resurrection without that suffering. But the resurrection is the real focus. You taught me that. Bro. It's more about the rebirth than it is about the suffering.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to focus on the suffering.
Yeah, every church you walk into has a cross, but why focus on the suffering all the time? For me, it's kind of like the suffering is, how do you make a Marine? You take them through boot camp, right? But let's celebrate the graduation. Let's celebrate the title of being a Marine. I was in the Marine Corps. That's what you celebrate. You're a Marine now, We're not going to I'm just not going to all the time talk about boot camp. Now I have a new life, a new title. That new life is 2.0, and 2.0 operates on a whole different type of rules. And this is what I want to talk to you about. And I want you to talk about this, especially in your, with the way that you've relapsed, I've relapsed, with my food addiction thousands of times, relapse isn't failure, avoidance is. And I think avoidance is the enemy of progress. And we all know the first step to recovery is not hiding, not making excuses, but facing the music and fucking owning it. Yes, I relapsed, but the truth will set you free. We know this, and if you're running from something, guess what happens? You don't have an opportunity. You're just in fight or flight, and it's going to happen again. And I want people to know this, and I'm going to dish it right off to you. You can't heal what you refuse to confront.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that true?
Absolutely. In our lineage, we also say, out of observation comes transformation. My willingness to start addressing the problem, to start looking at the problem, the observation of the core issue. Out of observation comes transformation. That means the mere fact that I'm willing to look at it means it's already starting to shift.
Yes.
I'm already starting to invite God's light into it. And it's appropriate, absolutely what you said, Jay. You got no hope if it's avoidance behavior. The deal with that is, I heard this a while back and I really liked it. It's only applicable to call your slip a relapse if you were working a recovery program before you return to the addiction. So if I was working a spiritual recovery program, if I did and was trying to implement expansion practices in my life to heal and then return to my addiction, that's considered a relapse. It's like relapse back to old behavior, even though I know there's a better way. So if I'm just avoiding and I'm not even doing any work, I'm getting drunk over and over again, and I have intermittent periods of sobriety, that's just a dry drunk. I'm just a dry drunk during that time. I'm just white knuckling it. I'm just trying to fucking force my sobriety into existence. So I really liked that when I heard that. It's only a relapse if I'm in the process of growing spiritually. If I'm in the process of addressing the main issue. And that means I'm not avoiding. I'm looking at it. I know it's hard to look at, and I know that we have slips, and I know that we return to alcohol and we return to our addiction. But the mere fact that I'm working on it, I'm looking at it, that means I've relapsed. That means I'm actually trying to do something about it, because it's worse if I'm not doing anything.
Oh, 100%. And one of the tools, I want to give people a tool on this before we go to the next one, is write down 3 reasons you're grateful for this wake-up call, because it's a wake-up call, and what you'll do differently. And you know the power of writing things down like that. But 3 reasons you're grateful for the wake-up call and what you'll do differently.
Very powerful. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's how you transmute the slip into a gift. This isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me. In reality, I needed that last slip to be rocketed into the direction of willingness and behavior change. Yes. So without that last slip, I don't know if I'd be here today.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's how you turn shit into gold.
Yeah, I love that. And I want this to be an opportunity for you to understand also, especially if you're going through this, like maybe it happened last night. All relapse means is you lost sight of your purpose. You lost sight of your why. And a lot of people don't ask this question. I'm being real self-aware and advanced here. And I want you to answer the question, Duane, too. But ask the question, why are you fighting for sobriety?
Yes.
Why are you fighting for sobriety? Why? I get blank stares when I ask people this question.
I'm so grateful that I have my brother here with me, Jay, that we get to share this with each other. And I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to get to share that you and I get to share this with other people. Jason and I first addressed this when we were working together in the gym. The saying is another tool that we can add to our toolbox here is, if the why is powerful, the how is easy.
Yes.
If the why is powerful, the how is easy. Why would he do that? Why would he go try and be sober? Why would he try and be the best version of himself? Why would he try and get a job? Why would he try and take care of his family? Why would he try and be present for his work? Why would he try and show up? Why would he try and have insurance on his car? Why would he try and do that? Why would he try and live in accordance with the laws of the universe? If the why is powerful, the how is easy. So a good why for us is, well, I want to be the best version of myself. That's why. That's powerful. What's another good why? Another good why is, I want to be the best version of myself for my family. So my family feels safe around me. So my family learns to trust me again. So I can be accountable to my loved ones and support my family. So I can show up for my responsibilities. So it's a very powerful why. What's another one? Not only so I can be the best version of myself for me, not only so I can be the best version of myself for my family, but so that I can be the best version of myself for my community. I start contributing back to the community. I'm giving back. I'm sharing with others. I'm actually showing up for work. I'm not blowing every stoplight I see. I'm kind at Walmart. I'm giving back to my community just with my mere presence. I'm not here to take. I'm here to give. Those are very powerful whys. The most powerful why of all is because when I'm on a recovery journey, I'm creating.
Yes.
I'm creating a new life. I'm creating something powerful. I'm creating something big. We are connected to the power that creates worlds. We create worlds. Jason taught me that in the gym, and it fucking lit me on fire, bro. Like, it still rings true for me 4 years later. We create worlds. And that's when I feel, you know why? Because that's when I feel most alive. I feel most alive when I'm creating. And that's a good why. Why fight for sobriety? Well, because I'm creating something I can be proud of. That's why.
Yeah, and I want people to understand, a vague why leads to a vague commitment. You've got to get crystal clear on this. You need something to anchor your recovery in, so that what are you doing this for? Like you said, my family. But just, I think a simple one is, yes, I am a created being. And God made me for a reason and a purpose. And he put me in this body, this specific body. I don't need to change my body. This specific body. He put me in this body to learn, evolve for the next meat suit that I have. But this one is the lesson that I need to learn. And the lesson that I need to learn in this meat suit is sobriety. That's the lesson.
Absolutely.
And that, if you can embrace it that way, where you're saying, I'm going to get this strong why, and I have to have this strong why. Because also, without a strong why, you'll fall for any excuse.
Yes.
And who makes the most excuses?
Us. Yeah. So if the why is powerful, the how is easy. I'm just doing it. I'm showing up to my meditation. I'm showing up to my physical exercise. I'm showing up to my prayers. I'm showing up to my responsibilities with my family. The how becomes easy because I know why I'm there.
Yes. And in this one, action, do this. Write down your top 3 reasons for staying sober. Make them so powerful. I want you to really focus on this. Make them so powerful, use swear words, whatever you need to do, that they'll keep you up at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the alcohol, not the drugs, but your why is just fucking you up. because I love that. So let's get to the next one. And this is going to be mainly you, because you know about this extensively. You do this and you practice this 100%. When you relapse, call your sponsor, no excuse.
Yeah. One of the most important tools, again, we're going to give you guys another tool here in regards to recovery. Do not isolate.
Yes.
Do not isolate. Addicts and alcoholics are great at isolation. I drank alone for years. I didn't want anybody to see how low I was, how the low vibration of guilt and shame that existence was. I needed to do it alone because I was so guilty. I was so shameful. So in recovery, we have to flip the script on that, and we have to start heading the other direction. The phone is going to feel like it weighs 1,000 pounds.
Yes.
You still have to pick that phone up and call and reach out and reach out to your spiritual advisors. Reach out to the people that you love and trust. Reach out to the closed mouth friend that you can confide in. Don't reach out to someone who's going to pat you on the butt. Don't reach out to someone who's going to loan you money. Don't reach out to anybody who's going to co-sign your bullshit. Reach out to the people who want the highest and greatest for you. And usually the highest and greatest for addicts and alcoholics and people with addiction means start taking responsibility. You made a mistake. Yes, you made a mistake, but you're not a mistake.
100%. That's so good.
In recovery, we don't shoot our wounded. Thank God, because we're all fucking wounded. So in recovery, we just say, welcome back. Come back into the fold. Come back. Well, know that you'll be welcomed back with welcoming arms, no matter what the program is for you, no matter where you are in your recovery. They joke, in certain circles, they joke, no, sorry, we only take the best alcoholic.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Only the non-relapse drug addicts here, that doesn't exist. Everybody has fucked up along their own journey.
Yeah.
And that's why you're welcome back with open arms, because we understand. It's like, yeah, we've been there, man. That's just fucking par for the course. You're not unique. You are not unique in your suffering, but you are unique in how you show up to it.
That's so good. It's just accountability. And I want people to understand it in this framework. If you're in Africa and you fall into one of those pits, how they have the pits, even sometimes they'll try to catch people and they put like branches over them. We've seen movies that way, and you fall down into that pit. What do you want? Who do you want to come save you? You can't save yourself. You can't get out of the pit. I want a pit expert. I want somebody that's pulled 1,000 people out of pits. I want somebody that has a Land Rover with all the tools already sitting in the back of the Land Rover. When I make the phone call, they're there ready with the tools. Pull me out of the pit. And I'm in a motherfucking pit when I relapse. And who's the pit expert? Your sponsor. They got the
people
tools.
Have been there
They're
before.
Ready. Yes, exactly. It's ego that's keeping you isolated and alone. But recovery always demands to.
Fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. We can do together what I cannot do alone. And that's the same as me with God. So you start praying when you relapse, and you start reaching out to those people who are going to hold you accountable when you relapse. You got to do it. You got to do it.
No text, no emails, a genuine, real, old school phone call.
Yeah, pick up that heavy ass phone. Sometimes the best advice I ever received, bro, was don't be a bitch, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, exactly. Next one I want to hit on is attack. This is going to be after you've gone through and talked to your sponsor. Next step for the relapse, solving this, figuring this out, is attack the root cause. Relapse didn't happen. You didn't stumble and stub your toe, on a tree limb you didn't see. Relapse didn't happen randomly. What triggered it? Was it a stress with the girlfriend? Was it anger because somebody pissed you off? Was it overconfidence where you ULP'd yourself because you had a new job and you thought you had this shit figured out? Until you identify the root cause, you're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Very powerful. Very powerful. The other important part of that in regards to identifying the root cause is to understand every single relapse, just like you said, like you don't stub your toe drunk. Every single relapse is premeditated.
Yes.
Every single relapse is premeditated. I thought about it for months, for weeks, for months, for days and days, and I ruminated it and I let it seep in and take hold and take root inside of me. And again, that fight or flight that we get so used to when we're in addiction, that rush of adrenaline and cortisol that we get so used to, it becomes our only normal existence. I receive that rush of adrenaline and cortisol when I'm thinking about the relapse, that part of my brain that is built for survival, the ego, that part of my brain that puts me in fight or flight. It can't tell the difference. It cannot tell the difference between reality and a thought. That's how powerful our frontal lobe is. So it's important to understand that I'm addicted to that adrenaline and fear and anxiety and cortisol that is produced when I know I'm going to do something wrong.
Yes.
I'm going down. I'm going back down into that pit. And it's like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But it's like, oh, that's what I'm used to feeling. I'm used to feeling like shit. Isn't that crazy that we return to that old uncomfortable feeling just because that's what we're used to?
It's like prisoners committing suicide after they've been in prison for 20, 30 years and they let them out.
Yes. Yeah. They're institutionalized. They don't know. They don't know how to live. And so it's important to understand that every relapse is premeditated. The prayer, the tool that worked for me most, especially in early sobriety, was God relieve me of this obsession. God relieve me of this obsession.
Yes.
If I'm thinking about drinking or returning to the substance over and over and over again, that's an obsession that exists in my mind. So I need help with my thinking. God relieve me of my obsession. God relieve me of my obsession. I knew the undercurrent of that prayer was, God help me with my thinking. God direct my thinking. God place me in your hands. I'm in your love. I'm in your grace. So God relieve me of my obsession. I would say that, bro, 3,000 times a day, 10,000 times a day if I had to. And that's what got me through my first 6 months. And then on my 6 months, that obsession was relieved. It was like a miracle. It was like plucked from me, and I have not thought about drinking since. It has not returned. But that's only because of the spiritual growth that we continue to do. And then it's also helpful to understand those thoughts of like returning to alcohol still happen, or returning to our addiction still happen. Bro, I never had an old fashioned. I never had one. My brain now says, it has a cherry. You'd probably be fine. If you had a little brown glass, it's a little brown glass with a cherry. You'd be fine. I never even had one.
Well, no, because you don't want to dilute what's in the bottle.
No, well, see, and I don't fucking want to have one either. I'm drinking the bottle.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So drug addicts and alcoholics are the only people who they say, hey, here, we developed this pill, and if you take this pill, you won't want to partake in your addiction anymore. We're the only people that say, well, what happens if you take 2? I just want more. So
yes.
Even though those thoughts still come, I have a crazy thought every now and then about an old fashioned, or about even a, what do they call those? It's like a lime drink, a mojito.
Oh, mojito. Yeah,
mint and lime and tequila. I never had a mojito. But even though those crazy thoughts still come, the prayer is still the same. I still return to that old prayer that I said 14 years ago. God relieve me of this obsession. God relieve me of this obsession. And it's not an obsession. It's just a crazy thought now. And now I know the difference. Now I know the difference, that that's a crazy thought in my mind. That's not real. And then God cuts it off. I don't have to go down the experiment with the thought.
Yeah, that's so good. And I want people to understand this. Relapse doesn't happen overnight. It's the results of a problem you didn't solve yesterday.
Very good.
That's all it is. Good. So what do? Action on this one. You got to get the pen and paper out. What triggered me? What will I do differently next time?
Yes.
Optimize that trigger. You got to figure like, oh, okay, I know that I relapsed 3 times, and all 3 times is when my girlfriend and I had gotten in a fight. Okay, there we go. That's the trigger. The girlfriend and I getting in a fight. What are you going to do differently? Get a new girlfriend? Are you going to do that? What's going to happen? Look at the up mark.
Yeah, thumbs up on a new girl.
Whatever you need to do, or a boyfriend or whatever it may be. Your boyfriend's abusive and he abuses you, and so next thing you do is run and go do drugs or whatever it may be. What triggered me and what will I do differently? This one's another one that is a cold hard truth. Relapse doesn't mean you're starting over. It means you're starting smart.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, the previous experience with sobriety is not for nothing. It was not for nothing. And that's part of that toxic shame and guilt. You know, it's like I threw all of that away. Oh, I threw my sobriety away. Oh, they're not going to want me back. You know, that's the pride in reverse that we talk about a lot. That's my ego. That's my pride. So I was 5 months, 20 days sober, bro. And, my advisor at the time said, I need you to go get a job. And I was like, okay, no problem. And you know how we are. I came back with 3. And he was like, now I need you to pick one. And I was like, no, I'm going to do all 3. And he was like, that's not a good idea. And I was like, well, I'll show you that I can do it. Yeah, I'll prove you wrong. So I was working about 80 hours a week. I had 5 months, 20 days sober. And
5 months.
My brain said cocaine would make this a lot easier. You're trying to burn yourself to a crisp. So I returned to my addiction. It was cocaine first and alcohol second. And it took me it took me another 2 weeks to get back into the hospital, drinking the way we drink and partying the way we party. And I'm very grateful for that experience, because it taught me Duane running on self-will, trying to do it Duane's way, will lead me to death. I got as close to dying as I ever want to get with my addiction.
Yeah, and isn't it funny when you look at relapsing, how hard you went in 2 weeks? It took you 2 weeks to get to the hospital. It's the same on the on the other side. You have to recommit that hard.
I picked up like I never stopped. I picked up like the common saying is, well, your disease is in the parking lot doing push-ups, just fucking waiting for you.
That's so good. Yeah.
So if that's true. The truth. If my disease is in the parking lot doing push-ups, just waiting for me to I have to be as vigilant on the spiritual side, doing as much spiritual push-ups as I can do to be ready to combat that motherfucker, to combat that beast waiting for me in the parking lot. Because that beast's going to come. The thoughts are going to come.
Yes.
Are you going to be prepared? Is your spirituality going to be as powerful or more powerful than that old pattern behavior?
Yeah, and I think it's important. People need to double down. You got to double down on the spiritual work, the spiritual growth. And an action item for this that I want people to understand is just go ahead and plan your next 3 meetings. Go all in.
Go all in. I love that.
And then that's your commitment, you know, for the 3 days. If you got to go to 3 meetings in 1 day, whatever it is, plan your just get those next 3 meetings. And that's your top priority, period.
That might be the best advice we could give, bro. Double down. Double down on your recovery.
Yeah. Recommit as hard as you went on your relapse.
Yes.
Go that hard on the recommit.
Shit. If you went half as hard, you'd do fucking great.
Yeah, and then we just have just 2 more, and then we're going to call it this one, because we're giving a lot of steps here. I want people to understand also that you need to stop waiting for motivation. Motivation won't save you. Sobriety isn't about how you feel in that exact moment. It's about what you do no matter what. Because, and you know this, relapse loves procrastination. But on the opposite side, recovery loves action.
Powerful. Very powerful. Oh, I love that. Yes. It's this is applicable in everything we do, but especially when it comes to my sobriety and my relapse. I'm not motivated to go today. Oh, I'm not motivated to pray today. I'm not motivated to get out of bed. It's like the major difference is motivation is an emotion.
Yes.
Motivation is an emotion, and discipline is a behavior. So we don't give a fuck about your emotion. If we don't want what you have, you're coming up out of the pit. You know, it's like, we know you're feeling bad. Don't give yourself a hard time for feeling bad. We don't care because we've been there. What we do care is that you start taking the action that could help get yourself up out of that pit and proud of the human being that you are. Taking those corrective steps, that prayer, that meditation, introspection, like Jay said, write it down, get very clear. If you get crystal clear, this is what happened in regards to my triggering the relapse. This is, if you get crystal clear, basically, you can have what you want. If you want sobriety, you can have it. But you need to know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, what does that look like?
You need to know that these are the situations I need to avoid, or these are the counter behaviors I could put in place instead of throwing gasoline on the fire. And what we say when you start to get some time under your belt is a memory without emotion is called wisdom.
Yes.
A memory without emotion is called wisdom. So it's like, I remember that didn't go so well last time, but I'm not in fight or flight right now. I don't need to participate in just throwing gasoline on my life all over again. I don't have to go down the rabbit hole with that emotion. I can just invite God in. I could just be present, or I could just offer love to the situation that used to kick my ass.
And so good,
and then you're growing in understanding and effectiveness. I can understand where I'm at in the present moment. I'm more effective because I don't have to participate in the fight or flight, crazy ego emotion. That's wisdom. And as you get more time under your belt, that wisdom comes. Situations, we figure out we can handle situations that used to destroy us. They used to just fucking kick our ass. And it's like, no, that bounces off of me today.
Yeah, 100%. I think,
but that's only because of this work. Sorry, Jake.
No, go ahead. I think the action item on this one that I want to encourage people to do is create a daily checklist for your recovery. And daily checklists: meeting attendance, check; prayer, check; affirmations, check; journaling, check; connecting with others, not isolating, check. Get that daily checklist. Just make it simple like that, and just, am I praying multiple times a day? Am I saying affirmations? Am I going to the meetings that I need to go to if I have to go every day or every other day? And then am I connecting with others, in a meaningful way? And that leads me to our last one that we'll get into today. And that's make service your secret weapon.
Oh, yes.
You want to feel strong again? Help someone else. And I want to say this before I hand this over to you. Service, guys, isn't just about giving back. What service is in this point when you're relapsed, it's about getting out of your own head.
Yes.
Everybody's like, well, I just gave back, I served. That's advanced 2.0. We're at the basic level of just pulled ourselves out of the pit. Let's just get out of our head there for a little bit.
Yeah. My alarm clock goes off in the morning and goes, me. I wake up selfish. I'm a selfish, self-centered individual. That's the crux of our disease. That's what that's what's really kicking my ass, is my selfish and self-centeredness, more than the drugs and the alcohol or whatever the addiction is we're partaking in. And the best way to get out of my selfish, self-centered head is service to others. Throw the trash, wash the dishes, follow the street laws. Like, those are all super simple forms of being of service. Go to work and do the best possible job you can do. Do your job so well that you cannot get fired.
Yes.
Be of service to your employer. Be of service to your community. Be of service to your family. When's the last time you called and just asked your mom how she's doing? You know what I mean? Like, just do something nice for somebody else. I saw this woman one time, bro, and she picked up a bag in the grocery store. It was like a grocery bag that had fallen off of the little checkout place. At least 5 people walked right by it. And I saw this woman, and she picked up the bag and hung it back up top. And she was just a customer. She didn't work there. And it was like, wow, she went out of her way to do something nice. She didn't turn a blind eye to the thing that was obvious and needed to be done. Super simple. Pick up a bag off the floor. But that's a good life.
Yeah, it's a bigger spiritual principle because it's turning chaos into order.
Yes, exactly. That's what the service
world.
Yes,
it's chaos into order.
That's what the service does. It's the same thing in Genesis that spoke existence into reality out of the chaos of nothing. We need to bring some order so that we can have a life worth living. What does that order look like? That order looks like service to others. It looks like just doing something nice for somebody else because I am hardwired to be here for me. What do you have for me? What's in it for me? What are you holding? What are you holding?
Yes.
And so you flip the script on that. And for some reason, when I start giving to others, God seems to like it.
Yes.
I started to like the person I was on the inside. Like the God consciousness inside of me was like, fucking attaboy, there you go. And then for some reason, that felt so good. It was like, man, I better go do that again. I better try and be of service more often.
That's so good. And I want people to understand the fastest way to reclaim your power is to give it away.
So wild. I love that. That's paradoxical, but I love it.
Well, it's Jesus. I mean, that's what you just gave all the time. And Jesus said this, when you focus on others, you find yourself.
So,
as addicts, we get the reason why we're so judgmental, and we've talked about that, the fear that comes with the judgment, is because we're just so narcissistic. We're so into ourselves. But if we actually focus on the gratitude that we have for others in our lives and what that actually looks like take 3 things. Look at your mother, look at your father, look at your kids, look at your spouse, whatever it is that you have, your brother, your sister, whatever. And go tell them 3 things that you're grateful for them. And make it meaningful, not just, I love you, I'm grateful for you. No, say specifically. The most powerful to me, and this, is how amazing your brother was to you through the whole process.
Yes.
I mean, he was Jesus, kind of, like the way.
He was so kind and so loving to me when I deserved none of it.
And he helped you with your daughter. You didn't deserve that.
Oh, man.
He gave you a place to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. He took me in. He helped raise my daughter. He was absolutely Christ-like without asking for anything in return. And that opened the door for this healing to take place between us. And now I have a great relationship with him today. He's one of my best friends. I call him when it comes time for big life events or anything important. He has a very powerful relationship with his niece, with my daughter. They're close, and he writes her postcards. He lives in Boston now. And it's just special, and I used to have a life where he didn't want to talk to me. He wanted to stay away. And so when we flip the script on our selfish behavior and we start giving to others and we start contributing back to life, our world gets really big. We have such big lives today, Jay.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And it's so easy not to have the gratitude that the things that we would have not even imagined that we have now, and getting back to this, and we'll close out on this. And you used to do this a ton, is number one thing, you just volunteer at your next meeting.
Yeah.
You reach out to someone newer in recovery who might need encouragement. It's those little things.
Yeah. So once you get plugged in and you actually confront some of the fear of going to recovery and jumping into the process, once you get plugged in, you will find there are absolutely countless avenues for being of service. Like, they'll make you stand outside and just say hello to people. There are such simple things. You could set up chairs. You could wash coffee cups. For a while I was living in northern New Mexico, I was taking a recovery meeting to the juvenile detention center there in Taos. I would literally go into the juvie and talk to these kids. 10 out of 10 of them had been involved with drugs, alcohol, and gangs. And they weren't even 18 yet. And I would talk to them about recovery being possible for them. And man, those 300-pound doors close behind you. It's like, you ain't getting out of there, so don't mess around. But to give back in a way like that, where when I was the same type of crazy spun up kid, just breaking the law left and right because I need to do it, because I need to get what I need.
Yes.
Man, I would walk out of there 10 feet tall. Like I was just beaming after the service, after trying to help somebody else. And that's why I kept doing it. Like, I did that for almost 3 years there in Taos. I took a meeting to the juvie. And, look where you can be of service. See who you can help. You got 1 day sober. You got more than the motherfucker bleeding in the gutter. You go help.
100%.
You can help somebody no matter where you're at.
Yeah, and the comeback is always stronger than the setback. Relapse is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of a new, stronger version of you. And the question is, in this moment of this feeling that you have with relapse, will you let it define you? Or are you going to redefine yourself? Because, for me, and this, your story isn't over. It's just the next chapter. It starts again.
Very good. Very good.
There was chapter 2. Now it's chapter 3. So
these are the best stories. It's the stories of the people who fall on their face and then aren't afraid to get back up and reinvent themselves.
Yeah, and I want people to know your willpower isn't enough. You need divine guidance, because divine guidance is unlimited. Define God. How big is
it? If my willpower was enough, I wouldn't fucking be here.
I love that. It's so good. And I just encourage everybody to go back, listen to these, write them down, study this out. We gave you a ton. I mean, Duane, we both
a lot of good tools.
gave you
These are a lot
ton
of good tools.
This is all the shit that we went through. We don't want you going to hospitals or losing jobs or losing relationships and family members. So, find that right next step. What's my right next step? And go there. It's like just massive action. That's the best thing you can do. And you're crazy.
Massive action, guys. Go do it.